I think one of the most important things for becoming a teacher is that you remain a student. So it's always been reinforced to me that the day that you stop learning something is the day that you should probably stop teaching, because
Go, hey. All right. So I am now on the line with a Mr. Jai Sheffield, who is a professional Latin dancer from Australia. You specialize in salsa as well as cha-cha-cha. I'm pretty sure you dance some other styles as well. You were born in Sydney, Australia, and you currently live in Gold Coast, Australia, aka Goldie. Is that right?
yeah, that's right, bro. The Goldie.
Hey, how are you doing today, Jai?
I'm really good, man. Yeah, it's a nice day. I've been to the gym. I've trained. I caught up with some friends. So today's going well.
Yeah, that's perfect, bro. That's perfect, man. Um, yeah, I want to first say, man, I really want to thank you, man, for taking time out here to talk to me, bro. I really appreciate that, man.
That's okay, man. My pleasure. Happy to
Hey,
chat.
bro. So, I guess a great way to start this out, man. I have never had the chance to visit Australia, man. So I'm very eager to hear from you, man. What was your childhood like growing up in Sydney?
Sydney's an interesting city. Um, for me, it's, I guess, compared to other parts of the world, it's not like a big city, but for us in Australia, it's a big city. And I was there for about 9 years, and then I moved from a city that's got like a few million people to a town that had like 2,000. So we moved to like a really small country town on the beach. So for me, growing up, we had like a property, so we had a lot of land. We had like horses and chickens, and like we used to catch a bus to school, and we used to walk everywhere or ride our bikes. So we grew up like on the beach. Um, I don't know what you call it in the US, but we say nippers. So we grow up learning how to swim and paddle boards in the ocean, and we do a lot of beach activities. So I was like a lifesaver through my childhood, like doing a lot of that stuff. So yeah, it's a great place to grow up from my experience. So yeah, I'm really fortunate that I had that opportunity growing up.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. You kind of spoke on it, man. I guess I'm very curious, man. What were some of your childhood hobbies? I know you say you were very involved with the ocean and the beach, right?
Yeah, so I had a pretty. The ocean's always been a really big influence in my life. So surfing and swimming, and when we were younger, like fishing and snorkeling and stuff like that. Childhood memories, or hobbies. I played soccer. I played soccer as a kid, like up until like my mid 20s. And then yeah, we just hang out with friends. We just go out like into the bush and camp, and ride motorbikes and do sort of like stuff like that outside. So yeah, a very outdoor orientated lifestyle.
Okay, I understand that. I definitely understand that, man. Did I guess how important was music while you were growing up in Sydney?
Um, Music, I think everyone finds their own connection to music in their own way. You find artists or bands that resonate with you as a person at that time in your life. So music was very important to me when maybe became a teenager. I used to listen to like a lot of Linkin Park and rap music and like some rock music. So I was into that stuff um, when I was growing up. And then it wasn't until a lot later that I started listening to salsa music and Latin music.
Okay, I get you. I get you, bro. Do you uh do you remember what you wanted to be when you grew up?
Um, no, not really. I've done a lot of different things before I arrived to where I'm at now. So, as when I was a teenager, I didn't really have much of a clue. Yeah, I right after high school, I became a surf instructor. So that was my summer job while I was at university, and then I studied a degree in nursing, and I worked in the operating theatre for a while, and then while I was at uni, that's when I started dancing, and I started like I went full time teaching and like becoming an artist maybe 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. So yeah, I've done a few different things up until now.
Okay. So you first got introduced when you were at uni. How old were you when you first got introduced to social dancing?
I was 23.
23, sure enough. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I was like 20, 21 maybe. So I get you.
Yeah.
And do you remember how you got introduced?
Yeah. I was at a surfing celebration. So a local guy in Byron Bay, that's the city that I lived in, or the town that I lived in at the time, he'd won a very prestigious competition in Hawaii. He'd won the Pipe Masters, which is a huge deal in surfing. So we were there celebrating with him, and then a friend said to me, "Oh, hey, do you want to come salsa dancing?" And I was like, no, don't be ridiculous. Like, why would I want to go and do that? And she's like, no, come on, a friend's a teacher. He'll show you what to do. Like, it's really fun. Come and check it out. So I ended up going along, and I remember walking into the room where the social was happening, and everyone was spinning, and the music was playing, and there was colored lights, and the vibe of the place was like incredibly positive. The atmosphere of the room was really energetic, and I was like, oh wow, this is really cool. So I learned like a basic step that night, and then that was me. I started private lessons that week.
Oh man, that's awesome, bro. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Um, is I guess I've never been to Sydney or I've been to Australia, but I'm curious. Is there a big social dance community in Australia?
Yeah, man. So pretty much every city has Latin dancing, like social dancing for sure. Um, I live on the like where I live on the Gold Coast now. There's a lot of social dancing. There's a lot of social dancing in Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne. There's a pretty big scene here. Like the dancing population probably isn't that big because Australia's population is not big, but compared to the rest of the world, I think we have a pretty good scene.
Okay, that's awesome, bro. That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. I guess since COVID, I guess things have kind of slowed down. Is that correct?
Yeah, so depending on which city you're in. So we've been really fortunate in Queensland, which is my state, because the COVID situation wasn't that bad here. So we had maybe 2 or 3 months, maybe 2 months of not dancing in the studio, and we just did online classes. And then after that, we went back to shines. We went back to shines classes and masks, and we did that for a little bit. And then when restrictions eased, we were back to partner work. So I've been dancing in class now for over 6 months, maybe 7 or 8 months.
Okay, that's amazing, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, we're really lucky.
Yeah, everyone's handled it differently, but that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I, I'm curious to hear from you, man. Going back to when you were 23 and first taking classes, man. Tell me, what was your beginner stage like?
It was really interesting when I retell this story, because I started learning from a Dutch girl. Her name is Cindy de Groot. She's from Amsterdam, or from Rotterdam, sorry, and she was traveling in Australia, but she was a salsa dancer back in Holland, and she was the one that was running the social night. And when I asked other people about doing private lessons, they said, "Oh, you need to speak to Cindy." So I said, "Okay, cool. Hi, my name's Jai. I want to learn some more about salsa. Can I do some lessons with you?" And she said, "Yep, sure, no problem." Um, and the funny thing is that she was undercharging me. I don't know why. So depending on where you go, like where in the world you go, you might pay like $15 or $20 or $25 for a casual class, like to attend a class at a school. So Cindy was charging me $15 an hour for a private lesson, and I didn't know any different at the time. So I thought, okay, cool, I'll just do like one private lesson a week, and that's cool. And then I started to meet some more people in the scene in the city that I lived in, and they're like, "Oh, how much is she charging you for privates?" And I said, "Oh, $15 an hour." And they were like, "What? $15?" And I was like, "Yeah, is that bad?" And like, I charge $80 for a private lesson, and I was like, "Oh, shit. Okay, well, maybe I'll do two a week." So I started learning with her, and and then like she went off traveling and start like doing her own thing again, and then I founded like another school. But yeah, the beginner stage for me, it was probably very unique because probably a lot of people find salsa dancing and then join like a group class, and they have like this group environment, and it's a lot more of a social experience. But for me, starting out, it was this one-on-one relationship, like with a teacher, and that was how I started.
Oh, very interesting. Super interesting, man. Let me ask you this, bro. I'm very curious, man. Uh, I guess seeing, the person you are today, the dancing skills you have today, can you tell me, maybe like a two-part question, can you tell me, how do you think taking private classes initially affected you? And the second part being, in your opinion, how do you compare private classes to group classes? Like, is one superior than the other? Can you put that into words, maybe?
Yeah, for sure. So I think the advantage of private lessons is you're getting one-on-one 100% attention from a teacher who hopefully knows what they're talking about. So private lessons are really good if you want to fast track your dancing. And the beauty of that, I guess, in my situation is that I saw results very quickly because as soon as you learn something, you can practice it like 100% and get feedback the entire time. So you can sort of grasp concepts and content a lot quicker. Whereas if you're in a group environment, the attention of a teacher is spread amongst the entire group, so your progress would typically be slower. But yeah, so there's advantages to both. Like the class environment's obviously a lot more fun because it's more social, and you probably get a bit more of a social dancing experience if you're in a class environment. But if people want to take their dancing seriously and they want to progress quicker, then private lessons is definitely the way to go.
Okay, and so I'm curious, do you think it would be beneficial to start out with private classes first and then transition, or maybe do both at the same time? You have an opinion on that?
Yeah, I think it depends on the individual and how seriously they want to take it. So if you don't have a lot of time during your week, then it probably wouldn't make sense to smash yourself with classes and private lessons. But if you have time up your sleeve and you want to progress quickly, then absolutely do privates and classes at the same time. I think a mix of both is always good.
Okay, nah, I definitely understand that. I definitely do, bro. Um, for me myself, I started out with group classes, and then maybe a couple years in, I started doing privates, and definitely I agree with you, man. It's a great way to level up. Great way to
Yeah.
level.
Were you doing predominantly salsa?
Um, so to be honest with you, man, I started out with salsa, moved on to bachata,
Yeah.
and then moved on to kizomba, and then I got introduced to Brazilian zouk. Y'all have Brazilian zouk in Australia?
Yeah, man. We have some of the most well known, or we had some of the most well known zouk dancers in the world. You know, Kadu and Larissa.
Yeah, definitely. I've had them on the show. I've had Kadu on the show.
Yeah, cool. So they used to live in Brisbane, which is up the road from, that's like the city up next to my city now. So they were in Australia for just over 10 years, and they made Zouk happen in Australia.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, yeah. Kadu is amazing, man. I thoroughly enjoy talking to him. He's a cool guy.
Yeah,
Super
man. It's
guy.
really cool.
Yeah, yeah, man. So you get introduced to salsa. You say you start taking private classes immediately, man. Um, and then you say you started getting to teaching. How old when you, I guess, start taking it serious? Maybe. How about that?
Um, I moved to the Gold Coast after about a year of dancing in Byron Bay, and then when I came here, there was a very good dancer and competitor called Chubba. He's from Hungary, and he was on Dancing with the Stars in Australia, and he'd had a pretty prestigious career as a dancer here, and he opened a school on the Gold Coast, and I started learning from him, and then that really opened my eyes to what dancing could be, because where I was learning is a very small town, like a really tiny place, you know. So I didn't know anything about like international dance festivals or traveling artists, or I had no idea about any of that stuff because I had quite a sheltered introduction to salsa. So when I started learning from him, I was introduced to competition, and I started doing a lot of private lessons with him. I was doing like 4 privates a week sometimes with him, and competing like pretty heavily, like 2 or 3 times a year, competing in salsa and bachata. And then I got to a stage in my development where he gave me not a teaching opportunity, but like an assisting opportunity. So I could assist a class with a head teacher and learn how to run a class, learn how to interact with students as an instructor or as an assistant, and like learn how to count and all that sort of stuff that you sort of need to be able to have a grip on when you start teaching. So I had a very good mentor in that sense, and she sort of facilitated a lot of my growth as like an up and coming teacher. So yeah, I was really fortunate that sort of happened for me after competing.
Okay. And so let me ask you this, man. So you're going to school. You said you graduated in nursing?
Yeah, so I graduated, yeah.
Okay.
After learning, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so are you just, working by day, training by night? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, so when I finished my degree, I got a job like in my profession, and then I was just dancing as much as I could. So I was like, I think they had classes 2 nights a week at that stage, where I was, and then like social dancing 2 or 3 nights a week, as much as I could. So it was, yeah, literally just working through the day, and if I wasn't working, I'd be surfing, and then dancing at night.
Okay, it sounds like a cool lifestyle, man.
It was great, bro. That was living the dream back then. Let me tell
Come on,
you.
come on now. So say you're taking classes, working everything, that you're given the opportunity to, become a teacher's assistant, man. I want to ask you this because I know that teaching is a skill in and of itself, and just because you're good at something doesn't automatically make you a good teacher. So I'm very curious to hear from you, man. Tell me about your beginner stage in teaching. What was that like for you learning to teach?
It was a steep learning curve because I'm very, like, I like to get my hands sort of dirty. Like, I like to start doing something. I like to be active about it. I was fortunate because I was teaching surfing before I started teaching dance, so I had a little bit of a segue into teaching from before. So I used to teach like a surfing lesson might be like 40 people, up to 40 people sometimes, but as low as a private lesson or 2 or 3 people. So I understood how to explain things and how to speak to a group and those sort of elements. But when I started assisting classes, I wasn't allowed to talk for like 6 months. So she was a bit of a hard ass. Like, she'd let me count on a song so people couldn't hear me, just so that like she knew I was right on the counts. And so after about 6 months of assisting without saying anything, so the female teacher that I was teaching with, Jenna, she would do the guy part and the girl part, and I'm just standing there like not saying anything. So after 6 months of that, I was allowed to start counting. I was allowed to start explaining like little details, things like this. So I'm fortunate because it didn't let me get a big head. All of that was sort of kept very much under wraps. So I'm really fortunate because my growth was facilitated the entire way. She didn't let me get ahead of myself. She made sure I could do everything correctly before I explained anything or before I did anything, and it was a great way to really fine tune how I executed things, because sometimes what you say to do and what you're actually doing can be different. So I was made aware of those things whilst assisting. So yeah, I was very fortunate to have her mentoring me through that stage.
That's awesome, man. A good mentor, a good teacher, man. That's like a little cheat code. It's like a little shortcut, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for anyone that wants to do that, you need to find someone who's invested in your learning and knows what they're talking about, and you stick to that person.
And you said she was able to lead and follow, so I already know she's an amazing dancer.
So she was like an Australian champion in competitions here, and yeah, she can lead and follow in salsa, bachata, zouk, like ChaCha, everything.
Oh, what's her name? Give her a shout out.
Her name's Jenna.
Okay.
Jenna Almenez. She's she's a mama now, so she's not dancing as much, but
Okay.
yeah, she still pops in every now and then to the studio, which is nice.
That's perfect, man. Give her a shout out, bro. Let me ask you this, man. For aspiring teachers out there, people who want to teach, whether it be in social dancing or surfing or whatever it may be, man. Do you have any words of wisdom, any words of advice for someone who wants to get in teaching themselves?
Yes. So I think one of the most important things for becoming a teacher is that you remain a student. So it's always been reinforced to me that the day that you stop learning something is the day that you should probably stop teaching, because I feel like it's such a big, huge, rich culture, and like, depending whatever you choose it to be, a lifestyle, a hobby, a sport, whatever dancing is to you, it's such a massive thing that there's always something to be learning. So even if you exhaust the resources for one style in your own city, learn a new style, or learn about the history, or learn something like that. So if you want to be the person that's giving this knowledge to other people, you need to make it your priority to be very passionate about it, because people unwillingly place their trust in you to deliver the content and deliver the concepts. So you owe it to those people to give them the best information available. So you need to constantly be upskilling. You need to be making sure you're on top of your own stuff. So I think, yeah, for people that want to become teachers, you need to make it your priority to be a student and to deliver the best content available to the best of your knowledge.
I wholeheartedly agree with that, man. I've had other people say that as well, man. Just always be a student, always be a student. Continuously learning how important that is, man. So I like that answer, bro.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
You so I don't know. I might have misheard you, but you are you a full-time dancer now, or?
Yeah, so I went full time in 2017. So I quit my job in the hospital. I stopped doing like other stuff. I just concentrated purely on dance, and I wasn't sure if I could do it. So I was sort of on the fence about it, and then I thought I had an opportunity to make it happen. So I quit my job. I left Australia. I moved to Italy, and then yeah, that was me. I did that like for the since COVID. I came back just before COVID.
Okay, man. That is quite the leap of faith, man. Seriously.
Yeah, a lot of people said that to me. They're like, "How can you do that? You left like a stable job, and you had such a cool place, and you had like such a comfortable setup, and like I'd be too scared to do that." I think for me, I was too scared not to do it. I would be afraid not to take that chance and see if it could happen, because if I didn't do it, I'd just be sitting here, be like, "Oh, I wonder what would have happened if I had tried that." But
Come
so
on
yeah,
now.
for me, the consequences were far worse not doing it.
So I gotta ask you then, man. Tell me about your time in Italy, man. What was that like for you? And I guess what brought you to Italy?
Initially, what initially inspired me was I went to a congress in 2017 called Salsa in Croatia, and that's a huge event in Europe. That's like one of the biggest events they have in Europe, like festival wise. It's like 10 days of parties, workshops, and socials. And this was the first time that I ever learned from Adolfo and Tanya. So I did their masterclass. They had like a 6 hour masterclass, and it was just mind blowing. I was like, wow, this is incredible. Like, where does this guy live? And I spoke to him, and he's like, I live in Milano. I teach at Sosa Academy with Fernando Sosa, and I didn't know who these people were at this stage. So I did like a bit of YouTube and Instagram research, and I'm like, holy shit, like I've got to go here. Like, I need to check this out. So that was the initial inspiration for me. Like, I was like, I have to go to this place. So I planned out my year, and then I just went. I quit my job and I flew there.
Okay, so you get to Italy, and are you essentially a full-time student at that point, or what?
Yeah, so the beauty of Sosa Academy in Milano is you can do like 5 hours of salsa classes per day. So, and that's just salsa. You can also do ballet, contemporary, hip hop, like bachata. You can do all. They've got. It's like a proper dance academy. It's like going to a boarding school. So when I got there, I was just mind blown. They have every style of dance you can think of. They have available there, and you can literally be a full time dancer. You can be a full time student. So that's 6 days a week of classes if you want it.
Oh man, that's cool, bro. That's super cool, man. So you get there, you get to Italy, you become a full-time student, man. I guess tell me, man, what was that whole experience like? I guess training salsa, 7 days a week, 6 days a week, man. What was that experience like for you?
Bro, I can't even tell you how much euphoria I felt to be in a community of people that take dancing as seriously as you do. Because everyone there's there for the same reason. They're there to upskill, they're there to train, they're there to gain knowledge and gain experience. And I felt a little bit in my city like I was a big fish in a small pond because there weren't that many dancers like dancing at a high level in my city. So, and I think it's normal. You can develop a bit of big headedness, and I definitely had that when I lived in my city. And then when I moved to Italy and started dancing with all these other people that were doing the same thing as me, I was like, man, like I was so misguided, about my own abilities. Like, and my learning and my everything went through the roof purely because of the frequency of how often you can dance in classes and because of the quality of the teaching when you're there. So for me, it was one of the most memorable and one of the best times of my life to be there. It was incredible.
So I'm curious, man. What was the name of the school again? I'm sorry.
It's Sosa Academy.
Soldier Academy. So I'm curious, is it like a proper university, or is it just kind of like just drop-in classes? Like how was it scheduled?
It's like a normal school, I guess. But the biggest difference is probably the size. So it's like a huge complex. They've got 5 or 6 studios and a bar and a stage in part of the same school. So like at the school I teach at now, for example, on the Gold Coast, we have classes 4 days a week for salsa, and there's 3 classes per day, which is a lot, like for our city. But there, they have classes from 3 in the afternoon to midnight. So like it's crazy. You can do whatever you want to do. Like if you become a VIP student or a full student, if you have like the full timetable available to you, classes work out to be about €3 per class. So maybe like $4.50 US or something like that per class. Like it's crazy.
That's cool, man. That's cool, bro. So you get in Italy, man. You're taking classes full time. You're training and everything. Um, I guess you said you were there for a year, correct?
Yeah, so I was there off and on for 2 years. So I first moved to when I first left Australia, I went to China and I lived in China for 3 months, and I was training Shaolin Kung Fu at a Shaolin Kung Fu academy in the east of China. And then I did some surfing in Indonesia for a month, and then I moved to Italy at the start of the season. So they have seasons in Europe for dancing. So after summer, they have a break through summer for 3, 4 months, and then the dance season for schools starts in like August, September. So I was in Italy the first time for the first season, and then I went traveling again. I went to the US and I went to Mexico, came back to Australia for a little bit, and then I went back for the next season.
Oh man, that's amazing. That's awesome, bro. And so I'm still trying to understand this academy, man. Like, is it like, salsa 101, then you graduate to, 102? Like, do you have the same instructor and then you progress to a new one? Like, how does that work?
They, I think, obviously, I'm not sure how every other school does their grading system, but you have levels from beginner to advanced at Sosa Academy, and their top class is Super Advanced, and Super Advanced is a challenge based class. So to get into that class, you need to perform or compete to a level that satisfies Fernando challenge wise. So every month we would get a choreography to perform or like a challenge to do, and you have to sort of meet a standard. Otherwise, like you shouldn't be doing the class. So that was one of the highlights of the week was the super advanced class. So it's not typically focused on social dancing things. It's more like the challenge of certain content and how creative you can be as a dancer, and that's sort of what they focus on in those classes. But man, it was amazing. It was having a challenge every month to focus on was really really cool. I don't know any other schools that do that, but Fernando does it really well.
Okay. So I guess is it more so getting you performance level ready? Is that what the goal is?
I don't know if there's definitely an element of that because Fernando's team, Tropical Gem, they're some of the most well known performers like in the world. Uh, so there's definitely a strong element of that in the choreography course, and he wants to sort of squeeze out the creative and performance juices that every dancer has the potential to sort of have. So he'll give you like the choreographies are challenging. Hey, they're like hard, and he always mixes it up. It'll be reggaeton, or it'll be salsa, or salsa fusion, or cha, or he'll do a different style or a different sort of theme, or the musical change, or like all the time. So you're always on your toes in this class.
Okay, I get you. I understand, bro. So you're there for 2 years. I'm curious, man. Like, I guess, do you essentially graduate, or like, what makes you leave? Do you feel you're ready? Like you've learned everything? What happens?
I think for me, I got to a stage where my interests and my what I wanted to work on became more niche. So initially, when I was living there, I was doing like a ballet class every day to focus on technique and posture and flexibility and strength. And I was doing 4 or 5 salsa classes per day. But then on top of that, I would do Afro and Rumba and like the other styles available at the academy. And then once I'd done it, because the majority of Sosa Academy is on one. So all of Fernando's classes are on one, most of them. Sometimes he does on two if he's doing salsa nama. So and then I would do my on two classes with the Baratis, and then I would do like my Afro and my Rumba with another teacher at the same school. But when I got there, I was devastated because Adolfo left and opened his own school. He opened Latin Soul Dancers up the road from Sosa Academy. So initially I went and I was doing Sosa Academy full time, and then during the day I would go for professional development classes with Adolfo, and then I would go straight to Sosa Academy to do afternoon classes. So I think you don't really graduate from Sosa Academy, but I think what it is that your tastes and your interests become more niche. And so for me, my focus became a lot more intent on two, Afro, Rumba, and Cha. So my second time back, I was doing Salsa Nama Super Advanced with Fernando, like the on one crazy stuff. I do on two with Antonio and Jasmina Berardi from Rome on Tuesdays, and then on Wednesday I would go to Latin Soul Dancers and do Pachanga, Cha, body movement, and on two with Adolfo. And then Thursday I would do hip hop and salsa and musicality at Sosa Academy. And then usually Friday I would fly to another city for congresses. Uh, and come back Monday and do it all over again. It's for anyone that wants to upskill or have their eyes opened to like another world. Like I can highly recommend it. It was one of the
Okay.
best experiences of my life.
Okay, I get you, bro. That's awesome. That sounds super cool, bro. So you spend, your time there in Italy, man. You come back to Australia, man, and I guess is your goal to, open the school, start training, or start teaching, or what? What's your goal once you get back from Italy?
I think initially I just wanted to share everything that I learned. Like I understand that a lot of people don't have the opportunity to just quit their jobs and leave their countries like I did. So I felt like an obligation to be bringing that knowledge back and sharing it with people. and I was really fortunate to have had a mentor that helped me facilitate that. So he was pushing me to go. Like he said, you've exhausted what you can do in Australia, so you need to go and learn from other people and get inspired again, and find out wherever your dance journey takes you. So you need to figure that stuff out. So after I was overseas for, I think, just over a year, I came back and I did maybe 6 months in Australia again. I didn't want to open my own school because I like where I teach now, and I've got a very convenient setup teaching wise in Australia. So I just wanted to come back and share and help all my friends and my students grow and get inspired again. And then for me, I left again. I stayed for 6 months and then I bounced. I went back to Italy.
And so what made you go back to Italy? Just more training or?
Just more training. I was just hungry. Like I just wanted more, like, because I experienced so much growth and so much inspiration while I was there the first time, and I wanted to tap into that again and gain as much as I could and grow more and get more inspired.
Okay, I understand that, bro. I definitely understand that, man. So you've been a full-time dancer since 2017, man. I'm very curious to hear from you, man. A lot of times if we go on Instagram or Facebook, we only see the positives, like the highlights.
The highlights, yeah.
Yeah. I'm very curious to hear from you, man. What are some things that people may not know about a full-time dancer's life?
I think how unreliable the work can be sometimes. That's probably a big one, because a lot of your work is based off bookings and congresses and festivals and workshops and performances that you might get hired for, and those can be very fickle. They can fall through. Like COVID was a big kick in the pants, because there were so many festivals lined up in Australia, and then when COVID hit, bang, like that's 6 months of bookings like gone. So you don't have job security when you're a full-time dancer, and so many dancers now, like friends of mine in Europe and in Australia, they had to get part-time jobs and they went on to government assistance because there was nothing available for dancers in Australia. So everyone started teaching online. Everyone was like, everything changed. It shook up the whole world for artists, not just dancers. Like any sort of an artist. It's like different if you're like a music artist or something like that, maybe. But people think it's like a really cushy lifestyle. They're like, oh yeah, dance teacher, that's pretty cruisy. You guys are always so happy when you come into class. Like life's really good, and no question, I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. But the security of the job is definitely a factor that people might not be aware of.
Hey, I definitely understand that, man. I definitely understand that, bro. Let me ask you this, man. So you've been dancing since you were 23. How old are you now, sir?
I'm 31.
31. Okay, man. That's awesome, man. Let me ask you this, man. What are some lessons that you've learned from dancing that you're able to translate into your everyday life?
Dancing for me initially was very competition focused. So to directly associate that to like a lifestyle goal or a lifestyle choice, if you can set yourself a goal and work towards that goal every day or as often as you can, then that for me was a good way. Like because we have a competition every year in Australia, sometimes two competitions, and then I would compete at world championships in Miami every year. So you had to set a plan with like a mentor or a coach or a trainer, someone that you're learning with, and then work towards that goal. You need to like learn a new routine. You need to train the routine. You need to perform it. You need to critique it. You need to adjust things and figure out a balance with your partner that you're working with. So you learn how to collaborate. You learn how to become goal orientated. You learn how to set aside time for the things that are important important for you, and you learn how to prioritize things. But on the flip side, you learn how to take a break from those things as well. Because if you dance too much, or if you work too much, or if your lifestyle doesn't have balance, then you can sort of spiral out of control, and it can really be detrimental to you. So yeah, I think I learned a lot about finding life balance because I was dancing too much sometimes.
Okay, I definitely understand that, man. You kind of get I guess maybe this feeling of burnt out, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely. Like a couple of times since I started, definitely.
Okay, so let me ask you this then, man. Uh, I'm positive, if you're having this issue yourself, I'm positive other people are experiencing it as well, whether it be from work, from their hobbies, whatever it may be, man. How were you able to overcome, that feeling of burnout and still, I assume, come back to it?
Yeah, I think for me it was a lot harder to have balance in my life when I was still working in the hospital full time, when I was still in the operating theater and teaching dance. So my workload was too much. I was working like 50 or 60 hours a week. And then when it started to become like a chore to go and dance, that's when I needed like that wake up call. I was like, okay, I need to shift something here because I don't have enough time in my day. I need another day of the week or something. So I think you need to listen to your body, like really a lot. You need to listen to your body as an individual and see where you can, if you can find a balance that really serves you. And a big thing as well, I think, particularly if your hobby or your interest or your passion is in an art form, you need to keep the inspiration alive. So you need to, instead of making it always work related, you need to maybe take a step back and realize why you got into it in the first place and rediscover or rekindle that love that you have for it. Because if you lose that, then you'll spiral out of control. So I think, yeah, making sure that you keep inspired is a really important thing, particularly, especially for dancing, and and then giving yourself time away from it as well, so that you can come back with more appreciation and more gratitude to be able to do what you do.
Okay, I understand that, bro. I definitely understand that, man. I wanna maybe give some advice to dancers out there. So I want to ask you, some more dance specific questions. All right,
Sure.
bet. So for someone who is a beginner
Yeah.
and they feel like they're not getting better, like they're stuck in this rut, what advice could you give that person?
I think if something's not working for you, like everyone learns at a different rate, so perseverance is important. You need to stick with something. You can't just give up because something's hard. So stick with it for a little bit, and if that's not working, then maybe try and approach it from another angle. If you're hammering away at the same thing and it's not working, then try something different. Whether that's trying a different teacher or trying a different school or trying it with a different partner, or you can always cross check and reference things to find another way of achieving the same goal. It's not really, because everyone learns differently. So you need to, if you're stuck in a rut, find a method or a way that really resonates with how you learn, and then try and approach it from a different direction.
I understand that. Okay, I get you. I definitely understand. Let me ask you like a continuation from that then. For someone who is an intermediate dancer and they want to get to that super advanced level,
Yep.
what does it take for them?
I think in my experience, you just need to dance. You need to dance and dance and dance. You need to immerse yourself in it. If you want to take your dancing to the next level, it's like the amount of it'll directly correlate to how much time you put into something. So, like learning anything, if you're learning an instrument or if you're learning a language or if you're learning an art form, your progress will directly correlate with how much time you put into it. So if you're dancing 1 hour a week, your progress will be very slow. But if you're dancing 10 to 20 hours a week, your progress will be a lot quicker. So if you're an intermediate dancer that wants to take it to the next level, you need to up the hours that you're dancing, and you need to up the hours of the quality that you're dancing. So there's a saying by a teacher in Australia, his name's Oliver Pineda, and he says that the people that say practice makes perfect are wrong, because if you're practicing something incorrectly, you're going to have to unlearn that later, you know? So he says perfect practice makes perfect. So if you want to get to a level where you're considering yourself an advanced dancer, you need to make sure you're getting in quality practice and quality hours of dancing, working on little things consistently until you get to a level where that stuff is easy for you.
Okay. I've actually had Mr. Pineda on the show.
Good one. Yeah, Ollie.
Yeah, good guy, bro. When I say the word musicality, what does that mean to you?
Musicality for me is a physical representation of an audible, a physical representation of something that's verbal or something that you hear. So if you can highlight or demonstrate what you're hearing with your body, that for me is like an example of musicality.
So then let me ask you this then, as a follow-up, man. How does one improve their musicality?
There's a couple of ways to go about it, I think. One of the best ways to learn musicality is by visualizing it, seeing musicality. So to take it back to Oliver is one of the most musical dancers that I've ever seen. His musicality and his shines are incredible. And he's highlighting bits or moments or instruments in songs that you've never heard before, but he's showing you what's happening with his body. And that's obviously a very high level of musicality. So if you want to improve your musicality, you need to visualize real good quality musicality and then try and put that into practice yourself. Really listen to music. You need to listen to music very intently and see if you can hear everything that's going on. And then when you can hear what's happening, then you can isolate it and interpret it.
Okay. I understand that, man. I definitely understand that. Let me ask you one final question, man. I want to hear this from you.
Sure, bro.
Can you give me one tip that can make anyone a better dancer immediately?
I think the best advice or the best tip I could give someone if they wanted to improve, and it doesn't matter if you want to improve your shines or your body movement or your social dancing or your connection, or the best advice I can give someone is that they have to make sure their intention is correct. They have to have the right intention moving forward. So if you can align a positive intention with what you're trying to learn or what you're trying to execute or what you're trying to master, then I think that's one of the best things you can do. You need to be doing what you're doing for the right reasons. So the short answer would be to make sure that your intentions align with what you're practicing.
Okay. I definitely understand that, bro. I definitely understand that, man. Mr. Sheffield, man, at this point, man, I want to thank you, man, for taking time to talk to me, man.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. I really enjoyed it. It's always nice to talk to other people that are interested in dance and curious to learn more. And I hope for anyone that was listening, I hope they got something out of it and they enjoyed it. And yeah, I want to thank you for hosting it, man, because these things, I think people really rely on podcasts and interviews and things like this because so many people don't have the opportunity to dance at the moment.
Okay.
And so many people will be so grateful to have people like you using a platform for the benefit of dancers. So hats off to you, man. I think it's a really good thing that you're doing.
Yeah, I appreciate that, bro. Definitely do, man. Real quick, man. I know times are kind of crazy right now, but do you have any upcoming events, anything you want to like, plug, share with the people?
In Australia, we're in a bit of a unique situation, obviously because of COVID. So international travel isn't available here at the moment. There's a couple of events that are planned for next year. So there's the Rumbia Festival in Melbourne, which hopefully will go ahead next year, and then the Australian Dance Cup, which will be in July in Australia. So with situations permitting, hopefully if COVID can be sort of kept at bay, then those events might go forward, which would be fantastic. So yeah, fingers crossed, hey, because I know there are so many people keen to get back to dancing, like in a sort of an event capacity. Like I've got so many friends in other states and cities that I haven't seen for a long time. So I really hope these events go ahead so I can catch up with all my friends and dance with everyone again. So yeah, I hope that COVID stays at bay so that we can make that happen.
Tell me this, man. I know you said you were teaching. Where are you teaching at? And are you currently teaching?
Yeah, so currently teaching. I teach for 3 schools, actually. I teach for Gold Coast Salsa on the Gold Coast, and I teach for Dance Culture and Paradiso in Brisbane.
Okay, so I guess real quick, what's what's your class schedule like? Go ahead and plug that for me.
So I teach Sunday afternoons. I teach salsa, 2 or 3 classes, and then on Monday I teach musicality and partner work. On Tuesday I teach on 1 and on 2 shines and partner work. On Wednesday I teach salsa partner work, and on Thursday I teach ChaCha and salsa shines.
Bro, that's awesome, man. And so real quick, if people want to get in contact with you, what's the best way to reach out to you, man? How can people get
Probably the easiest platform is probably Instagram, because I post all of my classes and like all my content really on Insta. I have a dancing page on Facebook as well, but I'm probably more interactive on the Instagram page. So yeah, if anyone wants to get in contact, then Instagram's probably the easiest way.
And Instagram page is it just Jai Sheffield or?
Yeah, it's Jai Sheffield, and I have a YouTube channel as well if anyone's interested. And I've been doing pretty similar to what you've been doing. I've been interviewing people through COVID as well. So my YouTube channel is Salsa Worldwide, and I've got interviews with a bunch of different artists and teachers from around the world. So yeah, there's some content up on there, a few episodes and a few interviews if anyone's interested in checking those out.
Definitely, yeah, plug that, man. I saw you interviewed Super Mario.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. He was mentoring me for a little bit when I was in Europe. He's a really cool guy.
Yeah, I had him on the show as well, man. Cool guy, bro.
Yeah, I really like Mario. I've got a lot of time for Mario.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome, bro. I want to tell you right now, man. Yeah, continue to do that, man. Interview people, man. Get it out there, man. So I'm all in support of that, bro. Definitely, bro.
Thanks very much, bro. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. Like I said, Jai, thank you so much, man. Real quick, is there any last words you want to say, man? Share with the people before we close this out.
I think for everyone that's struggling with the COVID situation and dancing, just try and stay positive and try and be patient. It's a really unfortunate situation for a lot of people at the moment, but there's definitely light at the end of the tunnel. It'll come to an end, and then I feel like everyone's going to be so much more appreciative of dancing and our scene and our community when we can return back to dancing the way we used to. So it's one of those things where we just have to be patient and wait it out. But then the dancing afterwards is going to be incredible because everyone's going to be so happy and so grateful and so appreciative to be back doing what they love. So I'm really looking forward to that on an international and a national scale.
Definitely, wow, that's facts, bro. It's one of those things like you don't know what you got until it's gone, right?
Yeah, it's exactly right.
Facts, bro. I definitely understand that, man. I'm trying to think, like, I probably haven't been like social dancing in like, maybe like a year now, man. So I definitely understand that.
Yeah, it's a long time to go without something if you're capable of doing it. So yeah, I totally sympathize.
I understand, bro. Jai, man, I want to thank you so much, man. I think this will wrap it up for this episode of the Two Left Feet podcast. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks very much, man. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Hey, you do the same, big bro. Take it easy, man.
Ciao.
That's all it is. Hey everyone, if you made it this far to the end of the video, I want to thank you so much. My overall goal with making these interviews and these episodes is to give a voice to dancers, to give them a platform to speak their story. So if this is of value to anyone, then that means the world to me. My overall goal is to give value to the dance community. So if you find no value in this, then I urge you to please let me know where I can improve on. I truly want to, just give value and content to the dance community. So please let me know how I can improve, where I'm messing up, because to be 100% honest with you, I'm learning along the way as I do this. I truly am. So to be able to interact with the dance community, it means the world to me, because it gives me feedback and it lets me know what I'm doing right, where I can improve upon, what I'm doing wrong, which I feel like might be more important. So please, if you all could comment and just let me know what you think, it means the world to me, because that feedback just helps me improve. So please comment as well. Please like and subscribe. That means a lot as well. But I want to say thank you so much for just watching this, because it means the world to me. I want to take you on this journey of the Two Left Feet podcast. I'm very excited for it. So once again, thank you so much.